During the First Age, Morgoth believed victory came from sheer force. Bigger armies, more monsters, endless waves of troops crashing into his enemies until nothing was left standing. On paper, it sounded unstoppable. In reality, it was wasteful, loud, and predicted, and in his greatest servant, Sauron, watch all of this carefully. Where Morgoth ruled through brute strength and overwhelming terror, Sauron paid attention to something far more. He noted Morgoth burned through his power too quickly. He scattered his strength across too many fronts. Worst of all, he turned the entire world against him at once. By pouring so much of himself into Arda, Morgoth permanently weakened his own spirit. He became tied to the world he was trying to dominate. Sauron learned from that mistake. Instead of spreading him, instead of endless armies, he preferred control. Instead of chaos, and that difference would make him far more effective, and in many ways, more terrifying than his former. When the Second Age began, Sauron wasn't just another Dark Lord trying to copy Morgoth. He created some focus, a One Ring. Just as Morgoth had infused his essence into the world itself, Sauron poured a vast portion of his power into a single object. The ring wasn't just a tool, it was a battery, a control system, and a weapon all at once. Through it, he could dominate the other rings of power and bend their bearers to his will. It was elegant, efficient, and far smarter than Morgoth's approach. But even geniuses repeat old mistakes. During the height of the Second Age, Sauron grew confident, too confident. Instead of quietly tightening his grip, he revealed himself too openly. He allowed Numenor, the elves, and the free peoples time to grow stronger. He fought on multiple fronts. He believed his power alone would be enough to crush any resistance. Sound familiar? It should, because that was exactly how Morgoth had lost, and history repeated itself. Sauron was defeated. The last Alliance march on Mordor. Barad-dûr fell, and the One Ring was cut from his hand. For most beings, that would have been the end. But Sauron wasn't most beings. Unlike Morgoth, he could adapt, he could change, and during the long centuries that followed, as his spirit slowly recovered, Sauron did something his former master never truly did. He reflected. For nearly 1,000 years, he studied every failure, Morgoth's and his own. Open war, too risky. Mass invasions, too visible. Direct conquest, it united his enemies. So he built a new plan, one that didn't rely on strength alone. Divide and conquer. Instead of smashing kingdoms head-on, he would weaken them from the inside. Instead of ruling publicly, he would hide in the shadows. Instead of leading armies himself, he would let others fight his wars for him. Proxy wars, manipulation, fear, misinformation. By the beginning of the Third Age, Sauron understood something critical. You don't As Sauron's shadow spread from Dol Guldur, something subtle began happen. Nothing dramatic at first. No massive invasions. No world-ending battle, just small ones. The kind kingdoms think they can handle on their own. Because Sauron understood something most rulers never do. Civilizations rarely collapse from one giant blow. They collapse from pressure. Constant pressure. From hard small wounds that never quite by. Around 130 dark things were multiplying. The Nazgûl, long absent, returned to the world. Dragons stirred again in the north. Orcs grew bolder in the mountains. Wolves and fell creatures prowled roads. To the average person, these looked like unrelated threats. Random bad luck. But none of it was random. It was coordinated. Sauron wasn't conquering Middle-earth. He was take the Misty Mountains, for example. Instead of launching an invasion against the dwarves of Durin's folk directly, Sauron played a slower game. Orcs quietly recolonized old tunnels. Goblin kingdoms formed in places like Gundabad and Goblin Town. Hidden strongholds appeared throughout the Deadlier. At first, these were just nuisances, raids, ambush supply disruptions. But over decades, those nuisances turned. The dwarves weren't destroyed in one catastrophic war. They were scattered, forced to migrate, forced into exile, forced to survive instead of thrive. And once a people are focused only on survival, they stop thinking about alliances or resistance. That's asymmetric warfare. and Sauron was mastering it. Meanwhile, the elves weren't in much better shape. The great elven kingdoms of the past were fading. Many had already sailed west to the Undying Lands. Those who remained were fewer in number and increasingly isolated. Lindon, Rivendell, Lothlorien, Mirkwood, beautiful realms, but separated, cut off from each other. Sauron didn't need to defeat them. Time was already doing that for him. All he had to do was make sure they never united. And then there were men. This is where Sauron's strategy became truly ruthless, because men are the easiest to divide. They always have been. In the north, the bloodline of the Dunedain still survived in Arnor, a proud kingdom, descendants of Númenor, dangerous if united. So Sauron didn't attack Arnor himself. Instead, he sent someone else. The Wish King, his most feared lieutenant, but not as a general of Mordor, as a king. The Wish King established Angmar, a proxy realm. Think about how clever that is from the outside. Angmar didn't look like Sauron's doing at all. It looked like just another rival kingdom, just another political enemy. So Arnor treated it like a normal war. They didn't call for help from Gondor soon enough. They didn't suspect a greater power behind it, and by the time they realized the truth, it was too late. Angmar systematically shattered Arnor. Not in one battle, but piece by piece. Cities fell, kingdoms split, trust collapsed, until the once great northern realm simply ceased to exist, and Sauron never even had to show himself. That's the terrifying part. The free peoples weren't losing to Mordor. They were losing to each other. While this was happening, Gondor faced its own slow unraveling. Again, not through invasion, through manipulation. Sauron understood that civil wars are far more destructive than foreign ones. So he helped light the match. In TA 1432, Gondor erupted into the kin strife, a brutal civil war over the crown. Families turned on each other. Cities burned. Fleets were destroyed. And those rebels who lost, they didn't just disappear. They fled south to Umbar, where they became the Corsairs. For centuries afterward, those same Corsairs would raid Gondor's coasts, attack its ships, and bleed its strength. Imagine that. Gondor was essentially being attacked by its own people, and Sauron didn't have to lift a finger. It's almost ironic. Some of Sauron's greatest victories weren't military at all. They were psychological, political, social. He let his enemies destroy themselves. And just when things couldn't get worse, he unleashed something even more devastating. The Great Plague. Around TA 1635, a deadly sickness swept out of the east. Cities emptied. Garrisons collapsed. Entire populations vanished. Minas Ithil was abandoned. Tharbad fell. Cardolan was devastated. To many, it looked like a natural disaster, tragic, but unavoidable. But the timing is suspicious. The plague originated from regions under Sauron's influence, and its effects perfectly aligned with his goals. Weaken Gondor, depopulate the north, break communication between kingdoms. If it wasn't deliberate biological warfare, it might as well have been. By this point, Sauron had accomplished something remarkable. Without launching a single world-ending campaign, he had crippled nearly every major power in Middle-earth. The elves were dwindling. The dwarves were scattered. Arnor was gone. Gondor was exhausted. Trade routes were unsafe. Trust between nations was thin. If you step back and look at it, it's honestly impressive. Terrifying, but impressive. This wasn't the Sauron who lost to the last alliance. This was a chess master, every move calculated. Every piece slowly boxed in. And the scariest part, most people didn't even realize the game was being played.